Hey everybody. So this is a quick safety video because I figured before we get into actually making a bat, we talk about one of the most important things that you're going to do, and that's be safe. So that said, I know I'm going to miss a few things here, but here are just some straightforward safety measures to keep in mind while you're doing any kind of machinery or woodwork. The lathe, make sure it's fastened to the table. You can bolt it down, or in my case, I have C clamps. Probably not as good as bolts, but anything you could do to fasten this thing down to the table. It's going to vibrate while you're cutting the wood. Last thing you need is for this thing to fall offline and just fall off the table, especially while it's running. So that's a must do. Make sure you do that. Goggles. Get safety glasses or safety goggles. Anything that's going to protect your eyes, because the way this machine works is it's going to spin the wood towards you. And because of that, all the wood chips are going to go right at your face. So make sure you have something to protect your eyes. The next thing is something people don't think much about. They should and probably do, but I didn't at first. And that's going to be some sort of mask and something that's going to be heavy duty. All right. So when you're cutting the wood, obviously you're going to see these massive wood chips come after you. However, the thing people tend to forget is the dust, right? There is a lot of dust that's going to get kicked up when you're cutting the wood, which you don't really see as much, but it is happening, as well as when you sand. And that's, you can see that a little bit easier. Make sure to have this mask on all the time because there's so much dust. It's incredible. So you don't want that stuff getting in your lungs. So just make sure you get yourself a mask of some sort. As you can see in here, no matter how much I clean it, you're going to see that there's still particles of dust and you're going to see a lot of wood chips all over the room. I do this in my shed because, you know, it's a big mess. I also have a tarp on this side so that I can try to block off this stuff from invading the rest of my shed. So the point is the dust goes everywhere. So keep that in mind. Get yourself a face mask of some sort and goggles. Gloves are also extremely helpful. I would get those too, just because it's gonna be a lot of wear and tear in your hands, as you see in my future videos. As we get into this, I start off without gloves, and I always forget that while I'm doing this, it starts to just cut up my hand a little bit. So I put gloves on, holding those tools over and over again. So those are some of the generic things to keep in mind. And then when you're actually cutting, make sure that this bar, right, this is the tool rest. Make sure this is close to the wood. This is a very small gap I have here. I may even move it a little bit closer. All right. The reason why is because when you're cutting the wood, you don't want to be too far away. Worst case scenario, and I've had this happen before, the tool can snap, right? You want it nice and close, less vibrations, and this thing is less likely to break on you, and it's less likely to bounce. When the wood starts bouncing against the tool, it starts to shake, and then it starts messing up all your measurements, so on and so forth. This right here is dangerous. Don't do that. All right. Some people don't even think about it. I didn't think about it. Snapped it. You also want to make sure that when you're using the lathe that you are not wearing long sleeve clothes. And if they are long sleeve, which you should not do, make sure they're very tight to the body and not loose. Anything loose on the body, whether it be something like a necklace or some sort of gear, anything that can get caught in the lathe is extremely dangerous because no matter the lathe, if it's a weak lathe like mine, it's still very strong. And if it gets caught up in here, it is going to pull whatever the object is in close and it's going to do some damage. So please keep in mind, don't wear long sleeves. Don't wear anything that's loose that comes off the body. Keep all your hair or whatever tied up um, because you don't want to get hurt while you're doing this. Again, it sounds like it's a little bit needy, but just don't be that person that gets hurt in a lathe because you just decided you wanted to wear a long sleeve shirt or a necklace while you did this. So just be careful.